Hi everyone! So today's live in the Dance Educator Resource Group is a topic that many of you are still experiencing and working with this fall, and that is continuing to teach virtually or doing the hybrid of teaching in person / virtually. And I know we like to come back from our summers recharged, ready to go, teaching for the fall, revamped for a new year, but I have a feeling like myself that so many of you have actually stepped into the fall even probably more tired than you wanted to be after coming out of the survival mode that we all were in at the end of the year in the spring and through the summer, trying to figure out the solutions and just in a waiting and holding pattern. I'm going to keep this brief today, but I want to go over some more tips, and if you have any questions or like that, you can just drop them in the comments below and be happy to talk to you about them. So just some brief tips. If you are teaching entirely virtually and you have the capacity to do this, I encourage you to do some changes in your space that you're working in. So if you're in your home still, or if you're in the studio and you have this capacity, and you don't know other students aren't impacted by this, revisit the concept that you work better if all of your senses are involved. When we teach dance, a lot of the times our sense of smell and taste are not invigorated. So one of my favorite things to do is actually have a candle going when I'm working and teaching, and I have one right now off-site. I don't know, maybe that's not a reality in your dance studio, but if you're virtually from your home, I always like to have a candle. I actually also like the visual stimulation. I know that, when we're working with our dancers and stuff, that can feel like that's it. But I'm a plant person. I actually have a lot of plants in my workspace. And so that's another thing that rejuvenates me and just gives me an extra level of oomph that doesn't come from a coffee or a caffeine shot or just the sheer desire to get through it that day because we're already so drained. Yes, teaching online and in hybrid format is requiring more energy than we're used to when we're face-to-face. We're having to do that much more work to process and receive the body language communication through the video, through the screen. We're having to do that much more work to put the energy through the screen to our students, so they're receiving that from us. So there's just so much more going on that you are walking away feeling more exhausted because it is that much more work. So being aware of that and acknowledging that is the first step. Some things that I like to do before I start teaching online, and mind you, I've been teaching online virtually by choice for over 2 years now. And I remember it took me a while to get in this place to where I was like, yes, this is normal for me now. If you're still kind of like, I can't wait till we finish this, that's understandable. But while you're here in it, one thing that you can consider doing is some breath work. And before you start teaching your classes, just taking a moment to recenter yourself mentally, emotionally, physically. One of my favorite things I like to do is putting my hand on my heart and my other hand on my chest, closing my eyes, and just slowing down my breath. And I like to do the breathing pattern where I breathe in for 4 counts, I hold for 4 counts, I breathe out for 4 counts, and I hold for 4 counts. And I'll do multiple cycles of that with my eyes closed and just feeling my hands expand and then release and just getting myself into that place. Patience is required for both yourself and your students through this process. I know it seems crazy, but we're all still doing our best with what we are hoping for, and keeping in mind that not only is it not how we were hoping for in the fall, but also for our students. Most likely their educational process is not what they were hoping for. They're adjusting to not just the studio process, but also what's still happening in their educational process. If they're back face-to-face, or if they're entirely virtual, if they're going through a hybrid portion, there's so much going on. It's not just dance. So we all just need patience all around. And keep in mind, if your students are still having to do hybrid or virtual for also education, they're still spending a lot of time on screen time. So keeping that in mind with the dance side. And I know it's not ideal, but you are still offering them an outlet. You're also offering them consistency and doing something that they love and they enjoy, and that brings so much value to them, regardless of if it's virtual or not. And hopefully that gives you a little bit more oomph and a little bit more energy back into what you're feeling drained from continuing to teach online or in the hybrid version. There are some things to keep in mind too, some positives that you can take away from this. It might not feel like that all the time when you're teaching online or into the hybrid version, but you are actually developing new teaching skill sets. When we first started teaching in person, at the beginning of our teaching careers, that we had to develop those skills. What is it like to actually be teaching, in person? The process of working in the classroom, being patient with our students, engaging, planning ahead. What's the content? What's the structure? What do my students need? What do I need? We have to keep all that in mind, and we had to develop the skills for that, right? It took us some time. That's exactly what's happening again as you're leveling up your teaching ability and you're doing a new skill set for teaching online and in hybrid. Or if you were just doing the bare minimum to get through it, hoping you wouldn't be revisiting this concept in the fall when you started this in the last spring, and you're here now, so maybe changing your mindset, shifting that to where now you're viewing this as a growing and learning opportunity that benefits you long term. Because I truly do believe that people are going to continue to keep virtual aspects as an option. So if you can make this a comfortable place that you feel is an additional platform that you can offer in your skills, that makes you more hireable and more diverse and versatile in your abilities to teach. So you're gaining new, your skills, you're getting a new technical approach, your energy levels are higher, you're understanding how to work the ability to work with your students one-on-one and in groups through a virtual space. You're knowing how to, if you're doing hybrid, you're knowing how to both engage the room and virtually at the same time. And you're adapting and growing in general, both for yourself personally, your patience level, your tolerance level, your strength maybe you didn't know you had, just so many things, your endurance, and then also holistically with your students. So just keep in mind that it's not easy where you're at. This is a hard thing that we're going through. Maybe you were hoping your studio could go back face-to-face, but for a reason that wasn't an option, and so you are doing the virtual or the hybrid still. It won't always be like this, but in the process, when it does get to you entirely in person, you still are not losing what you've gained from this and the benefits. It will only continue to assist you when you're teaching in the typical setting of a studio. I hope that these tips you find helpful, something from them, and that you walk away. Remember to take care of yourself first. Fill up your internal cup so then you can serve others, so you don't walk away from your classes completely drained, and that you can look forward to what's ahead of us for the fall semester, and that you're enjoying the process as you continue to grow and you see your students continue to grow. Thanks for watching today.